Hey guys, DM Scotty here. Welcome to the craft. Today I want to talk about those sneaky goblins. They're so fun. You can do funny voices, and they die in horrible and amusing ways. They're just fun to play with in your games. But today I'm not going to talk about living goblins. I want to talk about dead goblins. I had a game where I wanted to have some goblin remains, like skeletal remains, to kind of freak out the players, because it's like this goblin area, big goblin warren area. So I thought it'd be fun to make some skeletons, but they're hard to find. And what I did was I just took some regular human-sized skeletons and then used them to make goblin skeletons. So let's go to the table and I'll show you how I did that. The first material I'm going to use are these washers, and these are just steel 1 inch with a 1/4 inch hole in the center, and I really like these with a small hole because they're very easy to cover up. I'm also going to use some of my favorite crafting material, and you guys have seen me use this before, the flexible modeling paste. So I'm going to take a scoop of this with a popsicle stick and apply it to the washer. And then just kind of smooth it out on top of the washer, covering that hole, and that'll give me a nice base to apply the skeleton to. Now, last but not least, you're going to need some skeletons, and since I didn't have goblin skeletons, I was converting regular human-sized skeletons to goblins. So I have this set of skeleton warriors that I got from Wargames Factory, and these are really nice. You can use these to decorate all kinds of stuff. I did a pile with these. A pile of ash for my zombie game with these, and so these are some really nice decorations. So if you're not going to use them for use them for the figures themselves, you can they're great for decorations. So I would highly recommend getting these. So here you can see I've applied the skeletons to the bases or to the washers, and let me talk about this. So like I said, I used the washer, I applied the flexible modeling paste, then I just smushed the skeletal pieces into the flexible modeling paste. But I didn't just take the skeletal pieces from the sprues and just push them in. I did some modification. So of course goblins are much shorter than regular humans. So what I did was when I applied these, I cut the spine that leads to the pelvic bone. I cut that off so it was much shorter. I also did virtually no neck for the head, and goblins seem to have a large head, so that works okay. There's two different skulls here. One was from the set itself. It was like a demonic skull, and that worked well. I just cut the horns off of it. And then the other one was a skull I had from my bits box, so I used that, and it has some pointy teeth and stuff, so that worked out nice for a goblin. Now, when I applied the arms and legs, I cut the ends. The arms had a ball that would fit into the model joint, so I cut the end of those off so that the arms and legs would be shorter, and that seemed to work really well for reducing the height of the miniature. I also, when I put the feet on, I cut the ball off the foot so that the feet were actually smaller than they would be for a human foot, so I think that worked out nicely. And so these are all ready to go. I'm just going to let these dry, and I'll paint them up. So the next, I'm going to go to a cave setting I have, and I'll show you what they look like when they're all finished and painted. Oh, one last thing too. When I do this stuff, I like to apply a coat of PVA glue to help adhere the material to the base. So it's not a step you necessarily have to take, but it's just that little extra bit that if you put the glue on and you just brush it on, it'll dry very thinly, and it won't affect the detail of the miniature. So that helps to just adhere the miniature to the base. So that's one last thing I do with this. So let's go to the cave, and I'll show you what they look like. So here, guys, I have a nice cave section. in our intrepid adventurers are exploring. And one thing I wanted to note too, that if you notice the floor, I did a little more of a rough texture on the floor by dragging the glue gun on the floor. It gives it, it's still relatively flat, but it gives it kind of a nice texture, that it's not a smooth floor like you might have in a crafted dungeon. So I kind of like that effect. But anyways, the party moves further in, and they're kind of being careful. And the party, the point at the party, the warrior comes around this stone here, the stalagmite, and sees a goblin skeleton there behind the rocks. So they're all on guard, getting their weapons ready, checking their area. They come a little further in, and behind this one here, they see another goblin skeleton. So yeah, it's not looking good. Something in here has been either eating goblins or killing them. So you know, the party's very much on guard. So those are really nice. They give a nice ambience to the setting. Here, let me give you a closer look at that. So here's the one I did. I like him. He's kind of ass up in the air there. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the skeleton painting technique, I basically just spray it black, then paint it a dark brown, and then I'll dry brush the skeleton like an off-white, and then I use a kind of a golden brown to give it like age, and then I'll fill it out with maybe a little more dark brown and black washes, and that's really all there is to it. So there you go, you can see him there. I'll give you another look at the other skeleton here. So yeah, I think these came out really nice, and the washers really give them weight, so they stay, you know, they stay in place. They don't move around. That's really nice. So there we go. Some nice little goblin remains that you can creep out your players with, and I'll see you next time on the craft. Hey crafters, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the DM's Craft. Make sure to subscribe, and I have tons of other videos, as you can see. I am the originator of the 2.5D method of crafting tiles. I also do dirt cheap terrain for the table. If all this intrigues you, make sure you check out all the videos below. Also, join my forum. We have lots of great crafters on there who give advice. I have a link above and below. And last but not least, remember, go forth and craft!